What is good with y'all? It's your boy Chris, and we're back on Spurs Spotlight with another banger.
Yeah, y'all gonna stop coming in my live talking about this Victor dude, bro. We hooping this year. Y'all gonna see.
All right, team. Today's a good day. You know what I'm saying? Got the vibes going right. Everything's feeling splendid. So I hope y'all are having a good day. But today we got Brian Windhorst and ESPN, NBA on ESPN to be specific. They talked about the San Antonio Spurs for a good portion of their podcast. And so today we're just going to go through a couple important parts that I like. The video is kind of lengthy, so we're not going to waste too much time, and we're just going to get straight into it. As always, do I even got to say it? We got the B headphones. Come on, let's get straight to it. I'm going to actually move down here so I'm not in the way.
Speaking of guys who might have their number retired, how about number one in San Antonio? How do we feel about where that's going?
Yep.
Because Victor played his first preseason game on Wednesday night. It was not a good performance by him overall. He had, I think it was 4 of 15 shooting. He was 0 of 6 on threes. I think he was 1 of 9 on jumpers. So,
he missed a lot of jump shots.
So not a banner performance, but there was a couple of jaw-dropping plays. And most importantly, like right in the first quarter, Chris Paul, also playing his first game as a Spur, goes down and throws a lob to Victor.
If there's one thing Wemby's going to do, he's going to make sure to get his clips. This was the loudest 11 points ever. He had a terrible game, but these highlights just made up for a little bit of his bad play. Because whenever you see these plays, like, your jaw just drops. Obviously, we need to get that jump shot right, which I'm not worried about at all. It was one preseason game, but I'm just saying, those plays he made were pretty nice.
I'm not sure how you're supposed to defend it.
You don't.
Chris Paul is, if he's not thrown the most lobs in NBA history,
it's got to be up there.
He's very close. This is something I didn't really think about when that pairing happened. You've got one of the greatest lob throwers in the history of the game. I'm not sure what you do about dealing with Victor on a lob. How are you going to, as long as Chris Paul
stop it by Victor shooting a lot of jump shots and not being at the rim.
That's your answer. Seriously, if Chris Paul gets the lob away cleanly, what recourse is there?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of 7-footers who are going to be at the rim still, I think. So it's probably not quite that simple.
They're not stopping Wemby. They're not stopping Wemby.
But this guy isn't 7 foot.
I understand. But but yeah, look, it's going to be a great weapon. And I do think this game, as we've talked about it a bunch, this game is going to be, I think it's sort of a microcosm of what year 2 for Victor is going to be about. What is the jump shot going to look like? And can he cut down on turnovers? Like in this game, he had 4 assists and 4 turnovers. Obviously, he had one really fancy spin move play, but had several turnovers. And like you said, 0 for 5 on threes, 4 for 15 from the field. Like the next step for him is to go from being a guy who is a very inefficient shooter to one who gets to league average or above. And his shot looks really clean. Like I do think.
I agree. But I don't. I agree in which Wemby's going to have to settle down with the turnovers and limit his turnovers more. But I don't think the jump shot is really a problem. Obviously, you want to get more efficient as you grow. But I think that's just with everyone. I want to go ahead and pull up the numbers really quick. Looking at his first month in the league last season, he shot 26%, which isn't good at all. Granted, this was only 4 games, but he also shot 27% in the month of December. And that has to do a little bit with the spacing and not having a point guard. But you come up here as he gets later on in the season, 33, 32, 41 right here the whole month of March. He dropped a little bit down to 30. And then he went back up to 34. And this is his rookie year, 19, 20 years old. I don't know if I'm in the minority with this take, but I'm not worried about his three-point shot falling at all. I do think in some games he does need to limit his jump shots, but then you have games like this against the Nuggets where he goes 5 for 12, which I'm perfectly fine with that. I love that, if anything. This is 41%, 50%, 50%, 18%. Like a game like this is pretty bad. But I think this just has to do with him growing as a player, and I think it's going to come around naturally, and it's not something that the Spurs should be worried about or really trying to put an emphasis on. With time, with the vets, as the offense grows, less running around with your heads chopped off. Now we got a vet, and so with this three-point percentage, I think it's going to go up. What did he shoot the whole season? The whole season with 32.5%, and I think that people think he shot a little bit lower because of the way he started off, which he was around 29. 32% isn't bad. You want to get it up, but I think he can easily shoot 35% this season. So I'm not worried about this. Jump shooting, the turnovers though, for sure, I think Pop's gonna get on Wemby about turning the ball over, and I think you're gonna see a change with that. Sometimes he does get a little too excited with his dribbles. He tries to dribble on smaller people that could really get under him. And I think you have to just give it up and move without the ball and get into a spot that you like. Obviously, he can dribble. I'm not questioning that, but just positioning yourself in better spots will obviously help his turnovers. But let's continue on with the video.
We've talked about it a bunch. I do think in time he's going to shoot good percentages on this stuff. But like that, for him to take the next step as a player, everybody sees the defensive stuff. He's already become one of the best defensive players in the league after 1 year, might be the best. But it's going to be the offensive end and the efficiency there that's going to determine how quickly he gets to be, a guy that's at the very top of the list of players or one that's in the all NBA conversation. And that'll also determine how quick the Spurs get towards McMahon's bet that he
That's fair.
keeps trying to lower week by week.
And it's an interesting thing because Victor being the most efficient scorer possible is not really the goal right now in San Antonio. They don't want to handcuff him. They want to give him the opportunity to spread his wings. And look, like nobody here thinks the Spurs are a playoff.
Hold that thought, McMahon. Spurs not wanting to handcuff him and just letting him go out and play. I think that was more of the case for last season. With this season, I think we know more, or the Spurs know more with Wemby. They know his tendencies, they know his spots a little bit more, and so I think Pop wants to put an emphasis on taking advantage of Wemby's advantages. As you know, Wemby said in his interview that he's working on the fundamentals. He's working to take advantage of simple plays. And so with this preseason game, we saw him trying to nutmeg people and all this stuff, the flashy passes. That's obviously not how he's going to come out the first game of the season. We will see Wemby play more of a strategized game. You not just go out there and hoop on people. Get to your spots, take advantage of mismatches and things of that nature. So this season's going to be fun.
Nobody here thinks the Spurs are a playoff team this year. Honestly, them being a play-in team is unlikely. And so it's still a developmental type season. And you want, like, they don't want to say, hey, Victor, you can't be shooting threes or you can't put the ball on the floor. They want to give him the opportunity still to kind of explore all of that space.
They're never going to handcuff Wemby. Pop with Manu. You just have to give certain players a certain level of freedom to where they could do whatever they want. Like, Pop's never going to tell Wemby not shoot threes, like he told Zach Collins or something. It just comes with the territory, and so Wemby's always going to have free reign, kind of like a Steph Curry, but in a different sense.
But there's no question at this point in his career, he is definitely much more effective as a finisher than as a creator. And it will be interesting to see how that dynamic works with Chris Paul. And CP3 not only is obviously a great pick and roll operator, but I think he can teach Victor a lot about the nuances of pick and roll play, and then hopefully for the Spurs teach those young guards on the roster some of those nuances. And CP3 I think might be taking credit for Spurs success years down the road.
Can we re-verify?
That is facts. I do think CP3 is going to take some credit for that. That's good stuff. We have one more thing I want to show y'all, and then we could skedaddle on out of here. Let me go ahead and find it.
For sure.
One more thing about San Antonio before we move on. Again, and speaking to folks there, bringing in Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, they obviously had their reasons why they wanted that veteran presence there. Greg Popovich has talked about Harrison Barnes from the 2019 World Cup team that I covered in China, how he really took to him when they were on that team. There was some, uncertainty, I would say. I wouldn't say it was concern, but there was some wonder from the Spurs. How are all these young guys going to adapt to dealing with these two veterans who come in? And to put it, kindly, Chris Paul has a big voice on teams that he's on.
Demanding is a polite way to put it.
Yeah, and that's true. Demanding sounds real positive,
Yes.
It's a good thing. With Victor leading the way, the acceptance of Chris Paul's leadership technique, is that well said? Do you like that?
Yeah,
Has gone very well in San Antonio, better than they thought, I am told. And particularly with Chris Paul running basically these de facto clinics on pick and roll play. And not just with Victor, everybody's going to focus on Victor, but they're raving in San Antonio about how Stephon Castle.
I was going to say the young guards to me are the ones who can really, like Victor benefits on the
100%.
floor. The young guards are the ones who can really benefit in terms of learning the game.
So in that GM survey, a couple of GMs picked Stephon Castle as one of the guys who could potentially have a really good rookie season. I can't remember the exact way they framed the question. And by the way, he was a guy who,
we know Chris Paul's history. We know that he has a way with words. He's very vocal. The Spurs would have to think about bringing someone like Chris Paul to the team. Brian says it's working out, and I don't think that's so surprising because, the Spurs look for a certain character with players. It's all about coachability with the Spurs. It even starts with Victor. Victor is very coachable. They're not taking anything personal. They just want to win and get better. From what I know or from what I can infer, I think this is just a match made in heaven. The young guys aren't brats. They're not drama queens. They're not divas. Great fit, great everything, great culture, great Spurs, great Chris Paul, great everything. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so y'all leave it down below in the comments. What do y'all think about this? Did y'all have any worries about when we signed Chris Paul? What do y'all think about Wemby's preseason debut? Are y'all worried? But as always, y'all make sure to leave a like. Subscribe to Spurs Spotlight. We're on the road to 1K. I appreciate all the love and support. But until then, it's been your boy Chris, and I'm out. Peace.